Okay, what's going on, guys? This is your boy Brad, the RPO BMX Lab here in Northeast PA, and it is July 30th. It has just turned July 30th, and I'm going to be bringing you a bike check 1 year from the date, well, about a year and 2 months since I last did a bike check with the S&M ATF, and this is not a frame I plan on ever getting rid of, so I'm really going to bust it down this time. So if I have any of these parts on here next year, I don't have to explain them quite as much. And if I forget anything, you guys can either ask me in the questions, comments, or wait till next year. So hopefully I'll still have it on here. But first I want to apologize. I broke my microphone. Literally, I broke my microphone. Was a good microphone, and it hooked, and of course I broke the iPhone side, which is the one I use for these videos. So you could either have bad video quality and good sound quality, or good video quality and bad sound quality. So I figured throw on closed caption, you'll have some sound quality, or crank the volume up, and I'll try to yell as much as I can into the camera for you guys. Hopefully you're watching this Saturday morning. So let's get right into this. This is my 21-inch S&M red gold fade build, and this year we have, first I'm going to run over the geometry of the frame. I don't know if I did that last time, but if I did, you're going to hear it again, because this is still a popular frame today. People still love, just the basic geometry. A lot of S&M frames are based on the ATF, which does stand for Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms. Don't know where they came up with that. Don't know who did, but I would hopefully try to find that out for you guys next year. This is a 21-inch top tube. So that's pretty average top tube. I'm 5'8". I say it's 5'8 and a half, and I like to ride a 20.75. However, if it is going to be trails, I don't mind a longer frame. 21 inches fine. 21 and a quarter, a little bit too long. I've tried before. I had a nice Mutiny Death Grip, but that didn't turn out very well. So I just make sure I don't go over 21 with it. And this is a great one. I usually take my Mutiny to the trails, and as you can see, the tires aren't really built for the trails of today, or more contemporary trails. These are more for kind of like some digging in, like some dirt, or some of the old school trails like we used to ride, and all the kids from the neighborhood just rode the same trails, crashed into the other end of the double and whatnot. So anyway, I'm done blabbering. Let me get on to this build. Okay, 21-inch top tube. We have a 4.5-inch tall head tube, basic size for S&M, 75 degrees. The seat tube right here, or standover, is 8.5 inches from this point to the center of the bottom bracket, and the back end is 13.4 inches. I'm not quite sure exactly where I have it. I should measure that, and if I had the ruler here I would, but I don't at the moment. But I would say I'm just towards my spacers, a little bit outside the bottom bracket, but the bolt still is inside, but you can see a little gap. So I may think of getting some of those Alien Nation crank anchor little chain tensioners. I think those are cool. I like the design of them, and I've just never been a fan of the screw-in bolt chain tensioners. So yeah, that could be a little upgrade. Anything else geo-wise? I believe it's 11.6 bottom bracket, which is average. And okay, the red gold fade. They don't do this one anymore. It's a pretty cool color. It is anodized, which anodized looks awesome. I love the way that it ages. It is hard to keep the shine and keep the color lustrous, but hey, that's part of having some classic like this. So we have the Mike Hoder grips on here. You guys all, I'm sure, are familiar. I don't believe these were on here last year, but it was only fitting that I have these on here. As the bar ends, I have some red Deadbolt Slims by Shadow Conspiracy. These are pretty sick bar ends. I'm a fan of the alloy bar ends. And over here, I have a grip lock and not a brake. And this was made by my boy Makoto in Japan. He has a small company he calls Versus Me, and he alone makes handmade components, and this grip engagement lock is one of them. Pretty cool. Kind of looks a little like the guy's engagement ring, and instead of like some of those diamonds, it has the little hex bolt in there to connect it to the bars. And what lovely bars they are. These are the Wheelhouse Cutthroat bars. They are not a very popular bar, but they are an awesome bar. I definitely will break down the geo for them, because I did talk to the guy at Wheelhouse about them, and he said that the guys out there, it is based out of Montana, they make handmade frames in the U.S., or not handmade frames. They make frames in the U.S., but they also have bars. They have U.S. bars, and I believe these bars are from Taiwan, but the geo is very specific to park style and trail style riding, he told me. And they got the little Cutthroat trout here, and pretty cool white house sticker right here. And I threw on a nice little Demolition Send It sticker. I'm not a huge fan of throwing a ton of stickers on my bike, but in this case, my dad loves fishing. I like going fishing. I'm not big on the fishing part, but he's a trout fisherman, fly fisherman, so bars are pretty cool. They have a 9.2 rise, which is pretty much, the height of the bar isn't very important to me. I'm not huge on bars much higher than 9 inches for dirt riding or jumping, but I did add a front load to this, and that dropped the height of the bars a little. I used to have some chrome fit 9-inch bars on there, and when I changed this to polish, I like the contrast of the black and polished a little bit more. And let me get to this stem. Also, these are 29, maybe 28 and a half. I'm not going to say it. I know they're around 20, a little over 28 inches, because I like my bars exactly at 28 inches, but I don't mind if they're 29. Like, these Hoda grips are long, they stretch, so yeah, that's not an issue, but I'm gonna guess around 29 inches. Okay, the stem, 6 stem. This is a Delusion Bikes, made in the USA, handmade by a customer that came in. I believe I spoke about this stem on my stem review, so it was in a different color. I had one of them colored in a bronze copper, but I left this one polished because, I love the color of it. It is set to be painted, but just the way he machined the bolts, they're American threaded bolts, which is also nice because you can just grab some at Lowe's if they happen to strip out, but I don't see that happening with this. It's kind of similar to, maybe it has a 52 millimeter reach, and it has a 10 millimeter rise. Okay, so the 10 millimeter rise doesn't really matter. What matters is my stack height, which is from the top of the head tube to the center of the stem where it clamps to the bars, and that is 30 millimeters. So I have my height at 30 millimeter, and what I think is important about that, because people are getting so technical in particular with geometry these days, but I like to measure it, and I think I said this in another video, so I do apologize, by the height in which it comes up to my waist. And in this case, it is about, I'm going to say, 3 inches below waistline. About 3 inches below waistline. And if you saw my other bike check, it was a street bike, and the bars were higher up. They were right at waistline or just above. So I do like the bars a little bit lower. I am one to ride my seat post high. You can ignore that. Usually If I were to go to the trails like on my Mutiny, I definitely do not have my seat that high. I probably only have like this much, which is actually kind of a lot for, you know, you see a lot of trail riders just slamming it, but even still, I like to have it at a decent height, especially with the lower standover, and I like cruising around on this thing. I used to like the gearing at the trails, but I'm no longer really much of a trail rider. I don't have as much control of the bike, so I definitely am not going to be riding such a large gear at the trails. But back to the stem, made in Quakertown. I'm going to say about 15 years ago, he came in as a customer. I was showing him a part because he said he was a machinist, and I said that it was made by Delusion Bikes because it had a Delusion Bike sticker on it. And he was like, no, it's not. And I'm like, well, the sticker was on it. And he's like, no, because I'm Delusion Bikes. So, and he said he had a couple stems. Did I want to take a look? And I grabbed them up pretty quick. So I have one right here, and I have one in the stem gallery. So this doesn't have a name for it. It is USA made. I love the aluminum is 6061 T6 block of aluminum CNC'd. It has some beautiful cutouts and some of my favorite parts. Like I said, the bolts. I threw a little gold inside the front of it, and being that it doesn't have that recess in it, because I believe when it was made that really wasn't a thing, I was able to use one of Makoto's Versus Me spacers on here that we made. I want to say I designed it because I did design it, but I designed it after seeing several of the kind of parts he made. So it was designed with a heavy influence by him, and he was kind enough to inscribe the RPO BMX initials on here on one side and the Versus Me on the other. So if you are interested in these, let me know. I can get them in 1 millimeter, 2 millimeter, 3 millimeter. I don't think you really want to stack much higher than 3 millimeters if you don't need it, but it does add a nice little touch to the bike, especially with the gold and the polished contrast. I will give you guys an up close as soon as I'm done, and I'm going to try to fire through the rest of these parts real quick. Okay, seat. Seat is a kink seat. It's called the kink overgrown seat. I've never looked it up. I don't know specifics about it. It's fat. It's kind of comfortable. Looks fire with the bike. I do like to change seats a lot, and the seat with the tints of red and whatnot just look awesome. Okay, seat post, S&M Long Johnson. I think I cut it down a little bit, not sure, but I believe I did, just to save some weight, which I didn't check what the bike was, but if you really want to know, ask me in the comments. And speaking of comments, taking a quick pause, I'm starting to do a comment of the week. So the winner of this week's comment of the week is Nolan he's actually from California, and he left a funny message about looking for an S&M front load shield wrapped stem. So I was going to like read it out and everything, but right now I'm just going to give a shout out to Nolan in California for having the best comment of the week. You definitely made me laugh. It makes me laugh when I look back at it. You guys can find it on my site on I believe it's the other ATF Bike Check, just if you want to look on the comments section. Leave a comment. You leave something funny enough, I might send you a pair of grips or something. So I am known to do that. Like I said, we're flying through here. I'm going to be jumping back and forth. Headset. This is a black, it's a very plain headset, just has some red spacers on here. Looks pretty cool. I noticed the two spacers look a little uneven, so I'm going to have to check and see what that is. I don't like the fact that the headset cap does extend out a little bit over the head tube here. This is the style I do want with this, but I want a more narrow one like the BSD headset cap that doesn't, it looks like a lid almost. I'm not a fan. I just want it to sit flush against right here. Okay, pitchforks, S&M wide mouth pitchforks, same ones as last year, 33 millimeter offset, laser cut dropouts, laser cut, oh sorry, the bike has laser cut micro dropouts. These have 6 millimeter thick dropouts. I did cut the forks a little bit to get my stack height perfect. And going down, we're going to talk about these tires real quick. These are the Maxxis Max Daddy tires. These tires look sick. I was in a shop recently that I had been in a couple years ago, and they had one of these on the wall, and I asked them about it. I came back to the shop. 3 years later, I asked them about it, still had it, got it brand new. Thank you guys. Shout out Cutters for the Max Daddy 2.25 tire in the front. And here is, this one's from my mechanic who chooses to remain anonymous, which is a 220 by 2.0 Maxxis Max Daddy in the rear. So it's just kind of like little mid-school flair thrown in there. The smaller tire in the back, bigger tire in the front, kind of like Tom Dugan said, makes like a, I forget how he explained it geometrically, but you should watch that video where Tom Dugan explains why he likes having the smaller tire in the back. But these tires only have max PSI of, I thought it was like 45. And I just want to double check. It's a 40 PSI max. I think I do have them over that, but it's funny because I noticed this and I'm not quite sure if I should go much over it or not, because these tires, a lot of them from the mid-school were built for a much more narrow rim, and these rims are 38 millimeters wide, which is much wider than the 32 millimeter and smaller rims from back in the day. So onto the rims, so it makes the tires look fatter and, you know, looks a little cooler, I think, in my opinion, when you have the wider rim. Not too wide. Like I said, I don't like to go over 38. 36 to 38, sweet spot for me. Onto these rims. These are the Eastern Buzz Zip wheels. I believe I had them on before, and I probably will have them on till they fall off, because these are this is like my favorite set of wheels that I have. I can't wait till Eastern gets them in again. I'm definitely going to have them in the shop. They are welded, double-walled, welded seamed rims. They have a 6-pawl engagement, springs in the back. I have it set as a right-hand drive, and they sound awesome. Got that cool sound there, and I haven't had them trued yet. I've owned them for a couple years, so they do need it. They have about 3 rivets. I like each spoke to only have like 1 or 2 rivets in between. It's like 4 or 5. It's a good amount. So too many rivets. And on here, if you guys are wondering, this is just a little hub duster. I like these on here. They're like those little Velcro things that you keep on to keep your brake cable in line. Try them out. If your hub gets dusty and it drives you nuts, wrap that around there and tell me how clean it keeps your hub. Promise you. Okay, so told you about the wheels, the Eastern Buzz Zips. They're out of stock at the moment, but they are nice wheels, so make sure you check out Eastern when they do get them back in. I'll throw it on a video. The tubes, if you guys are like, why does he have this crazy, Schrader, or I think it's, Presta valve. Fat Presta valve looking type thing. These are the E-Claw amp tubes. They come, every now and then E-Claw puts them out, and they come like in a box that looks like an amplifier. And it is a Schrader valve, but the Schrader valve also has a lock nut, or a locks, it's a locks washer that has threads, I believe. I'm not sure what it's called, but it's like a lock washer that you screw on here, and it kind of holds the valve in place, which the valve looks pretty cool. I'd like that. I'm going to get one with the gold, because this either comes in silver or gold, and these happen to be silver at the time. I do have the gold valve cap on there though, and the gold, I have gold washers in the front wheels female, and I thought I had red ones in the back, but I guess I kept gold ones on all the way around, so probably because of the flow of the bikes. Finish with the front end, and let's move on. Okay, I know I told you about a few things a couple times. Let's just finish it off. Brake cable. This is a Jet brake cable. Jet is not a very popular BMX brand, but I will say this. I think this brake cable works well. It has a bit of flex here, but the flex doesn't really come from the lever. Sorry, was I calling it a cable? I meant the brake lever. However, as I'm looking at it underneath, does it say Trek on it? The lighting is killing me. It's so bright. Well, I can't really read what it says, but maybe we'll look. Man, I've come this far. No, it says Artec. I believe it's A-R-T-E-K. I'm going to find out for sure, but I've seen that symbol before. Anyway, the cable's nice. I like it better than the basic Odyssey cables, I will say that. And it hooks pretty good. The cable, I'm not sure what the cable is at this point. It says Jaguar on it. So I guess it's a Jaguar cable. I don't know much about those. We have Odyssey cable hanger hooked onto the Odyssey Evo 2 brakes. And I'm not much of a brake connoisseur, but these are very good brakes. I do realize that no matter what color pads you have, it's still going to rub off the color on your rim. I threw the red pads on there. Now I threw them on there because they looked good. These are pads, they come with the claw brakes. And you guys know the claw brakes. Sell them here. Shameless promotion or shameless promo. But yeah, we have them on sale now, and these are the pads they come with. They look pretty sick. Have some red caps here, and they work fantastic. Haven't had any issues. The springs are locked up nice and tight. And let's get on to the drivetrain. The chain. It is a KMC chain. I'm not gonna go into what chain it is because I like the look of it. It's lightweight, but I'm not a big fan of the chain. I broke it like once or twice, I believe, and one of the pins, it just was a little bit of a hard time. I like some of KMC's chains, but so far, if they make two that I don't like, and I don't know how it's hard to make a chain that you really don't like. Chains are pretty easy. I mean, they gotta throw that indent in there, or the chain doesn't break. I want to find out how much more it costs to get a chain made with pins that have that little indent on each end versus a blunt end on here. If you know what I mean, if you saw the last video. Anyway, I'm dragging on. 36 millimeter Mutiny Pentra sprocket, 6 sprocket. Kind of been liking the big sprocket. I'm following trends these days, guys. What can I say? Just following the trends. Front load stem, big sprocket. Ride mid-school stuff when it should be new school, like you see these, I watch someone do it and I do it, I guess. I see it, I like it, I see it, I do it. So R.E.I. Levinson, definitely inspiration. I love some of his builds, and one of his most recent bike checks on the Source, I think he's got a 44 tooth sprocket on there, and that thing the bike looks fire. So yeah, 44 tooth's a little high. I'm sure he went with the bigger than a 9 tooth in the back. I'm not exactly sure what he said, but this thing is like pedaling into a brick wall, but once you get started, man, you're moving. And what helps with that is the 175 millimeter fit indent cranks. I'm not sure if these were on last year. I might have been through different pair or two, but I decided I'm just going to keep these white ones on again till they run no longer, which probably will be forever. They're great cranks. The only thing, I'm not a huge fan of the 24 millimeter, only because of the aesthetics. I think it looks a little fat for which obviously probably makes them a little heavier for a trail bike. I think they were a little more designed for street riding, but they are nice. I don't know the exact weight on them. I will have to check. The spindle, I have aluminum bolts by Demolition on here. Carry these at the shop too, which lighten it up, as well as these are the plastic Alien Nation foothold pedals. I got these recently from my boy Ryan in New Hampshire, so shout out to Ryan. We'll get a good picture of him as soon as I'm done describing. Dog's down here. You guys can't see him, but you will. And speaking of the dog, I'm starting to sniff again. I saw the last video, so don't get the wrong impression, guys. I just am a little bit allergic to some of the stuff he brings in the basement with me, not to mention it's pretty damp down here anyway, so thanks, Yogi. That's the name of my dog. So anyway, back here. Yeah, 36 tooth, 175 cranks give me a little bit of extra. The length is good for torque. I was just reading up on the variance and the difference between using a 165 millimeter crank versus a 175, and to be honest, the benefits of the 165 did outweigh the benefits of the 175, but I think in this case, having a big sprocket, and they were referring mostly to like street riding, I believe, having this large sprocket, the extra torque is kind of nice to have. But 165, you will get more rotations per minute, and you will have a faster cadence while you ride. You can look it up. So yeah, the basic gist of what I've learned is that 165 millimeter cranks are just fine for anyone of any age. They're not kids cranks. They are the torque that they put out and the benefits that they have with spinning and different tricks and balance and keeping your feet closer together outweighs that of a 175 millimeter crank. So for an adult too. Starting to get quiet. All right, telling you about the chain. So what would I do about the foothold pedals? Really nice pedals, huge platform, super lightweight. Your foot sticks to them like crazy glue. That is what I want with the big sprocket. I want to have my feet like suctioned to the pedals, and that's kind of what it feels like when you drop your feet first onto these pins. It's like, man, you pull up to do a manual, you better get ready to lock it in. So again, I know I start jumping around at this point in the video, but I'm only doing one take. This is really like my take 9, but the first few are just basically me figuring out where to sit, because I'm not a great editor. Continuing, jumping over. So the chain, what I like, I'm going to say that I would like to switch this to a fly tractor chain. I do not carry fly products. I've never tried to. I mean, I've never applied to them as a dealer, but I do love their tractor chain. Fly does make some really, really innovative products. Their tractor chain, I believe, it's a full-length chain, but it's just the smoothest chain I've ever ridden, and would like to get some more, and probably would like to be a dealer of them, because I like to carry parts that I ride and sell parts that I feel are good. I'm not going to ride the parts that I carry just because I carry them. In this case I did, and I've learned my lesson before that, but here I was aiming for lightweight. And you know, I will say whether the part is good or bad, you know, no matter whether or not I have them as a distributor or not. So leave that there. I like to be honest. Nobody's paying me to do any of this stuff or anything, so I just do it for fun. You appreciate it. Let me know what you want to see. If you don't want to see this, I'll bring something else. You want me to move faster, I'll move faster. I'll write a script or something, but I like doing this because I like bikes. So here we go. Let me turn this around. I don't think I have anything else to discuss with you aside from it has an S&M 24 millimeter bottom bracket. S&M's bottom brackets have these little cutouts here, and I switched the bolt that goes with the cranks, the sprocket bolt. I'm sorry, I do like spline drive. This one didn't come with it. They used to, but I like the button head bolt much better. The other one's strip. The button head bolt has a much deeper crevasse for your hex wrench versus, and that's one of the things we can improve, guys. Come on, let's start getting creative here. I mean, how many of you guys strip that bolt because you switch a sprocket here or there, and then all of a sudden the sprocket gets stuck to it, or it's an inexpensive sprocket made from tempered steel or something, and the bolt sinks into it after time because you continue tightening it and whatever. I mean, there can be something done. Spline drive can't be the only thing. Whatever. Let's use our heads. Time will come. Time will come. Right now, the industry's we're a little down on our luck and still rebounded from the COVID thing, which I understand. But I would like to see the time when, like, I'm gonna say late 90s-ish, early 2000s, maybe even before that. But when like Odyssey was making the elementary stem and a lot of just different creative stuff. I know it's harder as time goes by because everything gets more advanced and, you know, you have to think a lot deeper, but I think BMX still has a long way to go, and I'm not referring to like disc brakes and carbon fiber wheels. I just think that there are some outdated things about it that can be fixed and that are beneficial not only to BMX but to the environment. We're spending a lot of money on tires, which I don't mind because that does make riders ride out their tires instead of just buying tire upon tire. But the tube issue, throwing out, you know, tubes upon tubes, rubber upon rubber, I think down the line we're all going to be running the lightweight TPU tubes. I think they're going to be recyclable or whatever. I know, well, the rubber probably is too, but I just know it's not great for the environment. But I do have some of the TPU tubes coming, 2 of them. We'll be talking about that in the future. And I'm going to let you know they're not going on this bike, so don't have to describe it. But there's a couple changes that I actually am planning on, but you guys will see them next year. I'm going to be adding another piece from Versus Me, which is this right here. These are brake adjusters, and they have a little dice at the top. You can see a little Versus Me there. And shout out Makoto, made in Tokyo, Japan, handmade. And that's going to go up here. And I think it's going to look pretty sick, especially because it's on the top and it's gold. Obviously, it'll, you know, get a little bit of wear look to it because it's not clear coated or anything like that, but I like when that happens. I just haven't put it on yet because this one's working great and I don't want to mess with the brakes at all because I have them set the way I like it. And the only last thing I have to say, I have a sale, which I'm not huge on that for this channel because I know I said I was going to be doing bikes, you know, that I have for sale, but I just wanted to throw this one in here and just do some bikes that are mine just because I love it. And I did tell a friend I'd shout out this one. It's for sale right now. This is the Colt Callan Stubbard frame. It is a 20.5. It's basically the Colt crew frame. It just had too long of a back end for him. See if you guys can see that right here. I mean, it's in perfect condition. I don't think he never built it, I believe, just because the back end. And it's not an expensive frame either. And since it was pre-owned, I had it was at $280, I believe he wanted, but now this, I believe, was when it was a sale. So I'm going to meet in the middle at $245, and depending where you are, I'll ship it for $5. You know, anywhere from Ohio and to the Midwest and over, it's going to be a little bit more. But if you're on the East Coast with me, $250 shipped to your door, and do any mobile payments now, and you can hook your credit cards right up to PayPal, so that's not an issue. And if you don't know how, actually Cash App I prefer, or Venmo. But yeah, Callan Stubbard frame. You want me to throw some stickers on? I will. It's got some nice welding to it. Yeah, so let me get off that. And I'm going to call this one a wrap for you guys. Let me give you a nice look at this thing. Sorry if I blathered on. It's late, and I wanted to put some content out for you. And I'm going to try my editor for the first time. Get through these parts and get out of here. We have the Deadbolt Slim bar ends. The Mycoder grips in black. Nice fluffy grips. Here is your Jet brake lever. We have the, clever name, the Maguire wire brake lever cable. Beautifully crafted Delusion stem. Perfect reach at 52, 30 millimeter stack height. And there's your spacer. As you can see, it has the RPO logo on it right there. And the versus me side is covered up. We're going to work on getting that a little wider. Moving down, we have the foothold pedals. These things are really nice. Pentra sprocket. Oh shit, I gotta fix this. 36 tooth. This is the chain. KMC. Full length. Your buzz zip rear wheel. Right hand drive, 6 poles. S&M Long Johnson. Very comfortable. Kink overgrown seat. And there she is, guys. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you want. If not, you.